Yep.
I'm cranking up. I'm waiting on you. Starnes Creek, nothing on the major thoroughfare plan.
Bummer.
Meeting come to order, please. Roll call, if you would, press your present button. Oops. Not ready? You lost it?
I've never seen that before.
This is a new screen. You want to do voice? Just take the roll.
Okay.
We'll just take the roll up here. Staff announcements.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. I have a couple announcements. First of all, I wanted to make you aware that on April 15th, it's going to be noteworthy for a different reason this year. It's because we're going to be having a public meeting on the comp plan update. That'll be held at 5:30, and it will be at the Williamson County Library. And the second thing is, in front of you, you have a copy of the annual report for the Community Development Department. A lot of nice statistics. Not very much, though, in what I would say reading quality, perhaps, but it does serve its purpose, though.
Thank you. Anything else?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. Consideration of minutes of February 14th. Any changes or corrections?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Can we vote? Is that going to work? We're going voice. We'll be voice voting tonight, ladies and gentlemen. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed no. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to abstain.
From the minutes?
Yes.
That's a first. Thank you. Okay. With one abstention. Consideration of the consent agenda. Those of you on the commission wish to pull an item for separate discussion, please say so now. Otherwise, we'll take it as a whole. Anyone? Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll begin with item 3, Clovercroft Preserve, Section 1, maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $300,000. Recommendation, extended current amount for a period of 1 year. Item 4, Falls Grove, Section 4, performance bond for wastewater collection, $150,000. Recommendation, extended current amount for a period of 1 year. Item 5, Falls Grove, Section 4, performance bond for water, $322,258. Recommendation, reduced to maintenance in the amount of $48,345 until June 2019. Item 6, Falls Grove, Section 4, performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $597,000. Recommendation, extend in current amount for a period of 1 year. Item 7, Fox and Canyon, Section 1, performance bond for landscaping buffer, $4,521. Recommendation, reduced to maintenance amount of $2,000 for a period of 6 months. Item 8, Hillsborough Cove, maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $185. Recommendation, extend in current amount for a period of 1 year. Item 9, Kings Chapel, Section 3B, maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $100,000. Recommendation, extend in current amount for a period of 1 year. And item 10, The Grove, Section 9, maintenance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control, $251,000. Recommendation, extend in current amount for a period of 1 year.
Questions on consent? Motion?
So moved.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item 11, public hearings. For those of you in the audience that wish to participate in the public hearing, our procedures are as follows. The staff will make a presentation of that agenda item. You need to have been signed up when you came in to speak. And at the conclusion of their presentation, you'll be invited to come to the podium and make your comments. First item on the public hearing is proposed amendment to Mac-Hatcher Thoroughfare Plan.
Major thoroughfare plan.
Mac-Hatcher. How did I get that? Major Thoroughfare Plan in consideration of reclassification of Henpeck Lane to a collector road. There is no one signed up for that as a speaker, so we will open and close the public hearing at this time. Staff, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Major Thoroughfare Plan in its current form was adopted by this body in December 2011. At this time, the Planning Commission was asked to consider amendment to the Major Thoroughfare Plan as it pertains to the classification of Henpeck Lane. By way of reference, the Major Thoroughfare Plan provides a framework for future road improvements based on the findings of the Comprehensive Land Use Plan. Future road improvements are compared against the amount and location of anticipated growth, setting the framework for future rights-of-way and the amount thereof. As a part of this process, roadways are classified ranging from interstate/freeway down to local roadways. This classification system allows the county to obtain needed rights-of-way and reserve rights-of-way for future new roadways and/or realignments. Henpeck Lane is an east-west connector road of approximately 2.2 miles. The eastern terminus is Lewisburg Pike, and its western terminus is Columbia Pike. Both roadways are classified as arterials within the 2011 Major Thoroughfare Plan. Per the Williamson County Highway list, Henpeck Lane consists of two 13-foot travel lanes with right-of-way width fixed at 50 feet. The corridor is zoned predominantly Municipal Growth Area 1 and Neighborhood Conservation. These districts are characterized by single-family dwellings located on 1+ acre lots. A small MGA hamlet district is located at the intersection of Henpeck Lane and Lewisburg Pike. A strip commercial center as well as the Henpeck Market property is located in this area. No regulated floodplains are located within this corridor. Henpeck Lane was classified as a local roadway in the 2011 MTP. As in a recent similar case, this fact did not become of interest until the Williamson County School System announced their intention to construct a new middle school facility on Henpeck Lane adjacent to the existing Oakwood Elementary. Section 11.03C2C of the zoning ordinance notes that new educational facilities can only be located on roadways classified as either arterial or collector by the Major Thoroughfare Plan. Upon review, it was learned that Henpeck Lane was classified as a local road. This finding was unexpected. This is based on the fact that Henpeck Lane connects two arterials. A collector designation is generally considered appropriate. Furthermore, the prior Major Thoroughfare Plan did classify Henpeck Lane as a collector. Right-of-way dedications along Henpeck Lane for the several subdivisions developed since 1977 have depicted a minimum 60-foot right-of-way dedication, or 30-foot off center line, in conjunction with their platting. Finally, it was discussed with the lead consultant for the current MTP, I should say. Sorry about that. It was their conclusion that the failure to classify Henpeck Lane as a collector road was an error. Accordingly, it is recommended this error be corrected and that the Williamson County Major Thoroughfare Plan be amended to include Henpeck Lane as a collector road.
Thank you, sir. Any questions of staff? Discussion? Pete?
Yes, when this is made into the next road and we put a school on it, is the county going to automatically do something with both ends of this road? Are they going to have to wait 5 years on studies to see whether we need turn lanes or signalization, things of this nature?
Why are you asking?
The county can't keep buying.
Why are you asking me? I've got a question. Why are you asking me as the planning commissioner? I'm not the roads commissioner.
Well, you're the chief planner.
I'll take that as a compliment. No, seriously, Pete, it's a good point, but there's not anything I know I can do.
Mr. Chairman, I would add this, that we expect to see the school in the next month or so, and at that time they will be submitting a traffic study, and there will be a discussion on this roadway. Probably, I would tend to think, though, this would most of the discussion is probably going to be geared toward Henpeck at Lewisburg as the Columbia Pike.
For turn lanes, you mean?
Well, for even possible signalization. Okay. There's been all kinds of discussions with that, but it's a little early to speculate on that.
Fine. Any other discussion? Yes, sir.
Right now, is there a 60-foot right-of-way, the length of Henpeck, or is this be something that'll have to be acquired?
There are bits and pieces. Usually, when, as I said, I said in the narrative, typically the thoroughfare plan establishes rights-of-way, but usually those rights-of-way do not come into play until there are plats of subdivision. Okay. Henpeck Lane hasn't had what I'd consider an incredible amount of development at it. I think you go back to Oak Leaf and Oak Wood, which goes back to late 70s, early 80s. And I think we had Durham Manor that was maybe 10 years ago. But by and large, you know, it's when we get the rights of way, it tends to be opportunity driven. There's a project and at that time we request that they dedicate what rights of way they happen to control. And usually it's only on one side of the road.
But right now, what is the right-of-way along there?
It varies anywhere from, the highway department says it's characterized at 50 feet, but that would take a great deal more research than anybody's conducted. I do know, though, in the case of Oak Leaf, Oak Wood, and Durham Manor, they are all 30 feet off center line, thus the 60 feet we discussed.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Motion made and seconded. We're back up with our voting machine, so we'll use that tonight. I'm sorry, I started to say that. Prepare to vote. Vote now. Well, I can't read that. What does that say?
It's just
Vote locked?
no, it's voting.
There we go.
Thank you.
Uh-oh, we're back.
Record it. Wait a minute. Never mind. Record it. The motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item 12, concept plan review for Starnes Creek containing 72 lots on 156 acres located off of Meeks Road in the 5th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant is requesting concept approval for the 72-lot conservation subdivision in the Rural Development 1 zoning district. The review of a concept plan is the first stage in the development approval process. Because the concept plan contains more than 49 lots, a public hearing is required. The subject property totals approximately 156 acres in size and is located on Meeks Road. The site contains a number of natural resources, including moderate and very steep slopes, streams, and large areas of woodlands. Approximately 53% of the site is covered in tree canopy. Both the required 350-foot open space strip between the building lots and the Meeks Road right-of-way and the required 150-foot open space strip around the perimeter of the property has been provided. The proposed development consists of 72 lots, which range in size from approximately 11,400 square feet to approximately 21,700 square feet. The overall density is 0.46 dwelling units per acre. 74% of the site will be preserved in open space. Access to the proposed development will be provided from a single entrance from Meeks Road, which is classified as a local roadway by the Major Thoroughfare Plan. The traffic shed analysis performed by the applicant indicates that the proposed number of lots is within acceptable limits based upon the capacity of the existing roadway, and the intersection analysis performed by the applicant indicated that turn lanes are not warranted based on projected traffic volumes. However, the applicant has agreed to install a left-hand turn lane at the entrance to the development. This turn lane is shown on the concept plan and will be incorporated into the conditions of approval for the development. Within the development, the applicant is requesting a right-of-way width of 40 feet in order to locate sidewalks outside of the right-of-way and a design speed of 25 miles per hour for internal roadways. Staff is in support of these requests. Water service will be provided by Mill Crofton Utility District. Wastewater will be handled via a non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system, a site plan for which was approved by this body at the January 2019 meeting. It should be noted that once detailed construction and engineering plans are prepared in conjunction with the submittal of a preliminary plat, changes to the layout, including the potential for a reduction of lots, may be necessary. A landscaping plan will also be required. Staff recommends approval of this concept plan along with the request for a 40-foot right-of-way width and a design speed of 25 miles per hour within the subdivision with the following conditions. The preliminary plat must address the following. Number 1, submission of roads, drainage, and erosion control plans for review and approval by the county engineer. Such would include turn lane improvements on Meeks Road at the site entrance. Turn lane improvements on Meeks Road must be approved by the Williamson County Highway Department prior to preliminary plat submittal. Submission of water plans for review and approval by Millcrofton Utility District. And number 3, submission of the applicable construction plans for the required wastewater disposal facilities to TDEC, the county's consultant, and staff. Final plat must address the following. Number 1, prior to final plat submittal for the first section of the proposed subdivision, a zoning certificate must be obtained for the completed wastewater treatment and disposal system. Prior to the issuance of the zoning certificate, the applicant shall provide the following. A letter from TDEC indicating that the non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system was installed and is functioning. B, as-built drawings showing the location of all system components and a sealed certification letter from the design engineer indicating that said system was constructed in accordance with the approved construction plans and specifications. C, a letter from the owner/utility provider indicating that it has accepted said system and is currently operating same. D, the posting of a performance bond in the amount of $120,700 for said system as specified by the county's wastewater consultant. And E, the posting of a performance bond in the amount of $8,200 for landscaping improvements. Number 2, prior to final plat submittal, turn lane improvements on Meeks Road must be completed to the satisfaction of the Williamson County Highway Superintendent. 3, the applicant shall submit a letter to the Planning Department agreeing to have a registered professional engineer involved in the construction phase for roads, drainage, and erosion control of the project for the purpose of monitoring construction in order to ensure conformity with the approved plans and specifications. 4, prior to consideration of the final plat, the applicant shall submit HOA documents for review and approval by the county attorney's office. HOA documents must be submitted with the final plat, and the approved HOA documents must be recorded concurrently with the recording of the final plat. Number 5, establishment of a performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control. Number 6, establishment of a performance bond for water improvements in favor of Millcrofton Utility District. Number 7, establishment of a performance bond for the wastewater collection system. Number 8, submission of landscaping plans and establishment of a performance bond for landscaping. Number 9, execution of a stormwater maintenance agreement and submission of an operation and maintenance plan for stormwater improvements. And number 10, submission of the approved final plat in DWG format on recordable media based on the Tennessee State Plan Coordinate System prior to signature and recording of the plat.
Thank you, sir. We'll open the public hearing at this time. If you're one of our speakers, you'll be invited to come on up. I think this is Elaine. Is it McClellan?
It is.
Well, I got it right.
Where do I go?
Right here, podium.
Right here.
Look at me. Thank
Okay.
you.
I do have a couple of questions. I am a resident of Meeks Road and have been since 1992. I'd like to know who is the applicant for this particular project or applicants.
Staff?
I will defer that to Richard House, who's here on behalf of the applicant.
We'll get that answered for you here in a minute. Just hang on.
Okay. My next question is, where will the construction traffic be routed?
Ma'am,
Yes?
the purpose of the public hearing is for you to deliver your comments.
I plan to as
About-
soon as I find out what is going to be a benefit.
It's not a Q&A. Go ahead and give us your points.
All right. Construction traffic on Meeks Road right now from construction going on Long's Lane is terrific. We have dump trucks going down Meeks Road at huge speeds that are dangerous when we pull out of our properties. And I am concerned about more construction traffic on Meeks Road if there's only going to be one entrance and egress from the new plan. basically that's it, and I do understand this is probably a lost cause, but I would like for someone to address what is the benefit to we longtime residents on Meeks Road for this? Are we just out in the cold with everything going toward the applicant and their or his or her application for this plat? That's all I have to say.
Thank you,
And I'd
ma'am.
like to know who it is that we are in, who it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is the applicant here or his agent? Can you answer this lady's question, please?
Yes, sir. It is, my client is Land Venues. They will be the ones developing the property.
Say that again.
Land Venues.
Okay. Thank you. Next is Steve Davis. Is that correct? Did I get that right?
Yes.
Thank you.
I was in hopes that our district commissioners would be here. Ms. Lothan, I believe, and Mr. Little. Am I wrong on that? Okay. First off, let me say this. I, too, live on Meeks Road, have since '94. We've seen major changes out that way, and if you look at the map, it appears to me that all of the development has occurred in the 5th district. Okay? We're a little concerned with that. Basically, it gives me pause, and that's why I wanted to talk to our commissioners. Do you understand the impact that you make, on the decisions that you make, that you impact a community? I don't think you do. I have never seen not one person on Meek Road monitor the traffic. Nobody monitors the traffic out there. But let me tell you what has happened. Let me enlighten y'all. All these developments that y'all have allowed in there, from the Grove, the Falls Grove, Hideaway, good Lord, you've let people build on every ounce of land out there. It sickens me because we tout ourselves as an agricultural county. Well, that's all gone by the wayside. Our way of life as an agriculture, that's gone. It won't never be like that again. I laugh at our Williamson County Fair, who touts an agricultural fair. Dear my God in heaven, it makes me sick. This is what I have to say. On Meek Road, we have Page High School. We are used to Page High School traffic. That's not a problem. We're used to the students at Page High School. We're used to the parents getting their kids to school. That's fine. That's great. This is what we're not used to, and this is what we're getting now. And it has gotten increasingly worse. We're getting traffic off of 840 from out-of-county workers coming into Franklin to work. And what you don't realize is they're getting off on Arno Road to come to work, because they're not going to go all the way to the end of 840 and get in that bottleneck on 65. That's fine. They can come in on Arno Road. Here's the problem. Page High School and Page Middle School. Now they're in a bottleneck there. So what do? They shoot down Meeks Road, 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. We've got one lady from Rutherford County drives a blue Ford Explorer that'll run 70 miles down that thing every day in the morning and back at night. And I can't even get the sheriff to stand out there and try to catch her. We have all these people, an influx of people from Rutherford County, Marshall County, some Wilson County. They're all getting off and they're shooting down, and our little idyllic Meeks Road has now turned into a major thoroughfare. On one Friday, 104 dump truck loads went by our house. 104. Then they turn around and they come back empty. And they do it from 6:30 in the morning till 6:30 at night. From McDaniel, which is a crime, the McDaniel thing. Don't even get me started on that. They're going from there to Ladd Park. Ladd Park is an atrocity. And y'all have let this happen, but let's let bygones be bygones.
Sir?
We don't,
3 minutes.
do I have my 3 minutes up?
If you'll wind her down, I'd appreciate it.
Can I do that?
You can. Wind it down now, not up.
I know who the owner is. I know all about that. Never met him, been there 26 years, never met him. If I did, I don't think I'd like him. Let me share one thing with you. I'm not a Bible thumper, but I want you to be aware of one thing. The Bible says, be good stewards to the land. Be good stewards to the land. We have failed miserably. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know the first name. Johnson?
Yeah, Glenn.
Glenn. Okay.
Good evening. Appreciate y'all's service and taking time to hear our concerns. I won't rehash the concerns of my neighbors. I'm also a resident of Meek Road. But I think the one concerning thing that we're all dealing with is the amount of traffic on this road. I don't think anybody in here, unless you've actually driven it and have actually sat out there, has seen the impact that this small road has. It's a cut through. And to say that there's not that much traffic on it is not really a reasonable statement. I would ask you to put more thought into this development and the infrastructure that is currently exists and the impact that it's going to have on this community. If you haven't, I'd invite you to come out and drive the road and see the landscape. During the school year, we're a major thoroughfare for these high school kids. And we don't want to increase that number of traffic on there, because when they get to Arno Road, they're having to turn left to get this page. And if you've gone out during rush hour and sat at Meeks Road in Arno and tried to turn left, I think you would see how dangerous that is. And it's only going to continue to increase. This subdivision is going to add more vehicles to that road and have more of a negative impact on the people who live there and the people who travel it now every day. 74 homes, I think, is what you said. So we're looking at an average of 2.5 cars per household. Probably that's lowballing it a little bit. But that is a substantial impact on our environment. And if you go to the other end of Meeks Road where this development is proposed, and you sit at Paytonsville Trinity Road and Meeks Road, and you try to get out during rush hour, you're going to see that it's very dangerous because there's no view. I don't know how far in the process you are on this venture, but I would at least like to see a deferment moving forward with more study on the traffic and how it's going to potentially impact the intersections on the two ends of Meek Road. I appreciate your time, and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We'll close the public hearing at this time. I appreciate your comments. Thank you. Discussion, questions, thoughts? Applicant, you want to come up to the podium in case we've got a question?
Yes, sir.
Anyone? Did you do the traffic study, or are you farming that out?
That was farmed out to a secondary firm that did that, yes.
And the conclusions were?
That the capacity was adequate based on the numbers that they ran.
Nothing required?
Nothing required. We are volunteering to add a left turn lane into the subdivision.
Left turn?
Coming from Arno into the subdivision.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
From that direction.
Right. Yes, ma'am?
So I do live out there. I do travel there. For those who are wondering who up here did, and I know Sharon lives out there as well, but this subdivision seems like a really nice subdivision. It's going to be really nice. Most of the homes are going to back up to some common area. It's a great location. Unfortunately, I live on Arno Road, almost across from Page High School, so I understand the concerns out here about the traffic. I face it every day. It's a great location. We know that the east side of the county is definitely growing, and there's, it just is what it is. However, my concern is traffic out there also, and I would like to know, like what times of day did they do the traffic study? How many hours did they actually sit out there? And also, because I travel it, and it's a through road for me, but I live over on Arno, so I travel, especially school time, I avoid it. I live right there, every morning and afternoon. And we all know about the traffic issues in the county. And unfortunately, not unfortunately, but some of the decisions made in the city of Franklin affect our county roads. Someone mentioned Ladd Park. That was a city decision, not county. However, my big concern is not only the traffic, and I appreciate the turning lane because it's going to be in a curve where you're going to go into the subdivision, but the road is like deteriorating. I drive it probably at least maybe 3 or 4 times a week over to my house.
You're talking about Meeks deteriorating?
Meeks Road.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like crumbling out there. And I'm a strong opponent of someone being able to do what they want with their land, sell it to development. I can't, I'm a very strong opponent about that, and it looks like it's a really nice subdivision, but the road itself, and I know we have issues with maintenance of the road, and our budget is very slim for that matter, but my concern is the road. There's no shoulders. I don't even know I think we all know that we drive on the right side this way and the left this way, because I don't think there's hardly any markers out there on the road anymore, because it's pretty, it's pretty crumbling in a lot of areas. And the good thing about that this subdivision is getting us the fact that the farms on McDaniel Road, or their subdivision on McDaniel Roads, they're having to redo the whole intersection there at Arno and McDaniel and Meek. So it benefits the subdivision, so that's great. Those are all good things. However, I'm concerned with the traffic out there, and I'm concerned with the deterioration of the road, and you put 72 homes at a minimum 144 cars plus on that road on a daily basis, besides all the other people on it. I just don't see how that road can take that. So I'd like to know when, where, and how often, and how long, and how many times they did a traffic study.
I can't answer that question because I didn't do the work.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it is in the traffic report, but I can't answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
That has been provided to staff?
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions? Comments? Thoughts? Yes, sir.
And Mike could answer this. Is there? I'm sure there's guidelines for the traffic study, outside traffic study people to go by as far as time frame, isn't it?
This property is subject to the traffic shed analysis that's required in most of the unincorporated county. And that analysis was done, it was checked by staff and found to be right. The traffic shed analysis in this case required a significant reduction in density because of the condition of Meeks Road, the cross-section there. So this property has always been zoned to allow up to 1 unit per acre. But in this case, because of the traffic shed analysis, the density was reduced by a little more than half. So they've got less than a half a unit per acre because of the traffic issues.
Other questions? Mr. Sanders? That it?
That's it.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
So, correct me, I was thinking and listening to Robin talk. At the end of Meeks Road, is it McDaniel's Estates that's improving the intersection? Or is it another development that is?
The developments down on McDaniel Roads, they are improving the intersection. Once they hit that trigger mark.
Squaring up that intersection?
They are going to square it up, bring it down. So it benefits, once the cars get around down Meeks Road, it benefits the subdivision, what they're doing. Yeah, so that's definitely going to be improved. But it's just a 2-lane old road that needs a lot of improvement to me to house that many cars. I mean, again, I'm an opponent of doing what you want to with your land, sell it, develop it. But just, it's just the road situation, and I don't know.
Mike, did I understand you to say that as a result of the traffic study, they reduced their density by half?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, that's what I thought I heard.
Now, what about at the other end at Meeks and Old Paytonsville or whatever? Is it being improved at all?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
That's kind of correct me if I'm wrong, but Meeks Road kind of dead ends, and it's kind of there on a little hill. I travel it. Sometimes you don't notice certain things, but so.
On the other end?
On the other end, where Meeks Road's dead ends to Trinity Paytonsville Road. It's Trinity Paytonsville Road. Isn't that where that church is? Isn't there a church there?
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, you cross over Trinity Paytonsville and you're on Crowder Road that takes you over to Goosey Hill Road that takes you over to Ladd Park, where I think they were talking about all the trucks coming through. So. That's just my concern. It's just, and I appreciate the fact that it was reduced because of the traffic study, but just the maintenance of that road currently, in its current condition, is my concern. So.
Good.
There you go.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wish to make a comment? Have a thought? Tammy?
I mean, ultimately, the county highway department is responsible for the maintenance of that road. And kind of stating the obvious, and if it is to that point, then it may need to be something that's elevated. You know, that if it is deteriorating for whatever reason from use by the public, and
You're suggesting reprioritizing?
I'm just saying it's not something we have control over.
I understand.
But it's something that the county may have to take responsibility for, but we can't do that. Correct?
That's correct. Any other thoughts? Mr. Crohan?
If I understand what Mike just said about they lowered the density because of this, this means that we've hit the point where they will not be able to add on to this subdivision until the improvements are made, road improvements. Is that what we're saying?
That is correct.
So they're at the borderline of level C service. Is that where we are, Mike?
Well, they're at the borderline of what they're allowed because of the traffic shed analysis, which takes into account the cross-section of Meeks Road as well as the volume on Arno Road.
So the bottom line is, without improvement to Meeks Road, there'll be no additional?
They won't be able to get any additional lots unless the road is improved significantly, and that's unlikely to occur.
Thank you. Any other comments? Motion? Or further discussion if you choose to. Anyone? Council?
Yes, sir.
Lack of motion procedurally?
If you don't take action within 60 days after this is first considered, then it is automatically approved,
Thank you.
per state law.
All right, last call, motion, I'm gonna move on.
Because the planning commission is required to state the reasons for why it either approves or disapproves something, an automatic approval is not ideal.
No, it's not. So you're requesting comment
I'm
with
requesting action one way or the other.
up or down?
Yes, sir.
I move for approval based on staff recommendations.
Is there a second? Second. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Prepare to vote. Vote now. Record it. Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item 13 under old business. Concept plan review for the mill at Bond Springs containing 55 lots on 110.8 acres located off Bethesda Road in the 2nd voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant is requesting concept approval for this 55-lot traditional subdivision in the Rural Development 1 zoning district. The review of a concept plan is the first stage in the development approval process. The required public hearing was held on February 4th, 14th, 2019. The subject property totals 111 acres in size and is located on Bethesda Road. The property is relatively flat with rolling pastures. Portions of the site are covered by natural resources, including streams and small pockets of woodlands. The required 50-foot open space strip around the perimeter of the property has been provided. The proposed development consists of 55 lots, which range in size from 1 acre to approximately 2.5 acres. The overall density is 0.48 dwelling units per acre. Approximately 29% of the site will be preserved in open space. Access to the proposed development will be provided from a single entrance from Bethesda Road, which is classified as a collector roadway by the Major Thoroughfare Plan. The traffic shed analysis performed by the applicant indicates that the proposed number of lots is within acceptable limits based upon the capacity of the existing roadways. The applicant submitted a turn lane analysis which indicated turn lanes were not warranted. The county's Highway Department's traffic engineer has reviewed this analysis and concurs with these findings. However, the highway superintendent indicates the desire for a right turn deceleration lane to facilitate turn lane movements onto the site. Water service will be provided by HB&TS Utility District. Wastewater will be handled via individual on-site septic systems, and the Williamson County Department of Sewage Disposal Management has approved the request. It should be noted that once detailed construction and engineered plans are prepared in conjunction with the submittal of a preliminary plat, changes to layout, including the potential for a reduction of lots, may be necessary. A landscaping plan will also be required. Staff recommends approval of this concept plan with the following conditions. The preliminary plat must address the following: submission of roads, drainage, and erosion control plans for review and approval by the county engineer. Such will include the right turn deceleration lane, which must be approved by the Highway Department prior to the submittal of the preliminary plat. And number 2, submission of water plans for review and approval by HB&TS Utility District. Final plat must address the following. Number 1, prior to consideration of final plat approval, the applicant shall submit HOA documents for review and approval by the county attorney's office. The HOA documents must be submitted with the final plat, and the approved HOA documents must be recorded concurrently with the recording of the final plat. Number 2, the applicant shall submit a letter to the planning department agreeing to have a registered professional engineer involved in the construction phase for roads, drainage, and erosion control of the project for the purpose of monitoring construction in order to ensure conformity with the approved plans and specifications. Number 3, prior to final plat submittal, turn lane improvements on Bethesda Road must be completed to the satisfaction of the Williamson County Highway Superintendent. Number 4, establishment of a performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control. Number 5, establishment of a performance bond for water improvements in favor of HB&TS Utility District. Number 6, submission of landscaping plans and establishment of a performance bond for landscaping. Number 7, execution of a stormwater maintenance agreement and submission of an operation and maintenance plan for stormwater improvements. And number 8, submission of the final plat in DWG format on recordable media based on the Tennessee State Plan Coordinate System prior to signature and recording of the plat. Mr. Chairman, one additional item. Staff has received correspondence for this item, which we've placed on your desks in front of you. Yes, it should say refer to item 13.
Thank you, sir. Public hearing was held on February the 14th, I think, as most of you know, so this is beyond that. Anyone wish to make a comment or a suggestion, thoughts? Comment? Is that you? Go ahead, Commissioner.
I've got a question. Now, the road system we have in here, that these cul-de-sacs, they will not extend into another subdivision. They dead ending as is shown on the print. Is that correct?
Is the applicant here? Yes, sir. Join us at the podium, please, sir. State your question again, Commissioner Crohan.
The cul-de-sacs that will dead end the way they are now, they're not going to have future access into other subdivisions coming into this subdivision. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we met with staff, went through all that at earlier
Well, I've got a question for staff and you. Was any consideration given to a second entrance into this subdivision? There's a lot of houses you're putting on this subdivision that it seems there's a way of putting another entrance in there. Was that considered at all?
Yeah, I think it was considered when we looked at the plan, and I mean, based on following the subdivision regulations and the zoning ordinance, and meeting with staff and talking through it, we determined that we only needed one, and it served the development the best to have one entrance.
And staff is comfortable with that?
Yeah, Don, the discussion came up, I think initially we talked about two different points, but one was the property to the west, but I think that was recently purchased by or some of that land over there was purchased by the county, and we didn't see that would be potential for a subdivision in that direction, and then the parcels to the north we didn't think were viable, so it's limited obviously with one access to no more than 99 lots.
Okay, but I was looking down at lots 10 and 12 in that vicinity possible.
Yes, sir. That's where we, at one point, had stubbed out to the west and worked with staff to do a cul-de-sac in that location.
Well, staff's comfortable. Thank you. No, that'll get me. Thank you.
Anyone else? Comment? Your second? Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Prepare to vote. Vote now. Record it. Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item 14 under old business, amendment to Article 23 of the Williamson County zoning ordinance regarding decibel measurement standards. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This proposed text amendment is intended to clarify the maximum sound level standards for certain uses. At the February 2019 meeting, this body voted to defer action on the amendment and ask staff to conduct some additional research regarding this matter. As this research is still ongoing at this time, staff recommends that this item be deferred again until the April 2019 meeting.
Discussion, prepare to vote. Record it. Motion carries. Thank you. Under non-residential site plans, item 15, non-residential site plan review revised for Grace Chapel and Grace Christian Academy parking lot expansion and high school building on 167.33 acres located off of South Hall Road in the 9th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant is requesting approval of an approximately 60,100 square foot high school building and the addition of a new parking lot for the existing church. The property in question is approximately 168 acres in size and is located on South Hall Road. Properties surrounding the property in question range in size from approximately 45 acres to over 200 acres and are used for residential or agricultural purposes. Roadway improvements to South Hall Road associated with the proposed high school and parking lot addition, which include a left-hand turn lane at the entrance to the proposed high school, were approved by the Williamson County Highway Commission at their February 2018 meeting. Water services provided by HB&TS Utility District. Wastewater generated by the use will be treated by a non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system, for which a revised site plan was approved at the February 2018 meeting. All zoning ordinance requirements have been met, including the specific requirements associated with religious institutions and educational facilities. The submitted landscape plan has been reviewed and approved by staff. The site plan is in order, and staff recommends approval with the following conditions. Number 1, upon completion of the modifications to the existing disposal system and the construction of the new treatment system, and prior to the issuance of a zoning certificate and operation of said system, the applicant shall provide the following. A letter from TDEC indicating that said systems were installed and are functioning. B, as-built drawing showing the location of all system components and a sealed certification letter from the design engineer indicating that said systems were constructed in accordance with the approved construction plans and specifications. C, a letter from the owner/utility provider indicating that it has accepted said systems and is currently operating same. And D, the posting of a performance bond for the expansion of the existing disposal system and the new treatment facilities in the amount of $232,500. Number 2, prior to the issuance of building permits, turn lane improvements on South Hall Road must be completed to the satisfaction of the Williamson County Highway Superintendent. Number 3, execution of a stormwater maintenance agreement and submission of an operation and maintenance plan for stormwater improvements. Number 4, establishment of a performance bond for landscaping improvements in the amount of $43,800. Number 5, submission to and approval by the county engineer for stormwater calculations and the grading and drainage plan prior to the issuance of a land disturbance permit. And number 6, all signage must be approved per ordinance requirements.
Thank you, sir. Questions of staff? Comments? Thoughts?
Move we approve per staff's recommendation.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? I hear none. Prepare to vote. Vote now. Record it. Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item 16, non-residential site plan review revised for Curry Ingram Academy boarding addition on 82.79 acres located off Murray Lane in the 7th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A revised site plan for this use was approved in May of 2012, and the applicant is now requesting approval of another revised site plan in order to add 3 15,561 square foot dormitories and the expansion of the existing non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system to support the use. Each proposed building is 3 stories and will house 96 students. The existing non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system will be expanded to accommodate the proposed expansion. According to the applicant's letter of intent, there will be no additional students enrolled and no new access points will be added to the site. Property in question is approximately 83 acres in size and is located at the intersection of Murray Lane and Beach Creek Road. Old Town Subdivision, which is located within the city of Brentwood, is to the east of the property in question. Other properties surrounding the property in question range in size from approximately 16 acres to 30 acres and are used for residential or agricultural purposes. Water service is provided by Harpeth Valley Utility Districts. Wastewater generated by the use will be treated by a non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system. A revised design development report and detailed soils investigation report have been submitted by the applicant and reviewed by the county consultant, who is recommending approval of the revised site plan from a wastewater standpoint. All zoning ordinance requirements have been met, including the specific requirements associated with educational facilities. Landscaping requirements have been met with previous approvals, and therefore no additional landscaping is required. The site plan is in order, and staff recommends approval with the following conditions. Number 1, upon completion of the modifications to the existing disposal system and the construction of the new treatment system, and prior to the issuance of a zoning certificate and operation of said systems, the applicant shall provide the following. A letter from TDEC indicating that said systems were installed and are functioning. B, as-built drawing showing the location of all system components and a sealed certification letter from the design engineer indicating that said systems were constructed in accordance with the approved construction plans and specifications. C, a letter from the owner/utility provider indicating that it has accepted said system and is currently operating the same. And D, the posting of a performance bond for the expansion of the existing disposal system and the new treatment facilities in the amount of $67,500. Number 2, execution of a stormwater maintenance agreement and submission of an operation maintenance plan for stormwater improvements. Number 3, submittal to and approval by the county engineer for stormwater calculations and the grading and drainage plan prior to issuance of a land disturbance permit. And number 4, all signage must be approved per ordinance requirements.
Thank you, sir. Questions of staff? Yes, sir.
Is there a height restriction in the county? And do we have fire protection service in the county to take care of a 3-story building? The second part is, what's the difference in a boarding dormitory than having a hotel on an 83-acre site?
Staff?
Commissioner Mosley, we do have a height limitation. It is 3 stories. As for the fire protection, I'm unable to answer the question. The dormitory component, we as staff have concluded that this is part of the educational facility. It's not a hotel. We do not classify it that way, as it's part of the school's curriculum.
In other words, you can throw restrictions out when you want to.
No, sir, that's not correct. It's a classification issue, Pete. And secondly, the building code would require buildings like this to be sprinkled.
Any other comments?
What is the overall height of the 3rd story?
I'll defer that to the consultant. Christian,
Here.
if you'll come up for us, please.
Hi, I'm Christian Dalton with S&ME. I'm representing Curry Ingram Academy in the request for approval. I will defer that question to the architect as far as the height. In answer to your question, there's a 42-inch water line located on the rear of this property. I don't think pressures or anything will be an issue associated with the water line for the site as it develops.
The height, I think.
Yeah, in terms of the height, we're still designing it. We certainly have some pretty modest ceiling heights. So I know the first floor is 12 feet tall, and then we have 2 stories above that are 9 feet tall, and then there's a pitched roof. There are other buildings on the campus already that are like 2+ stories tall, and each of those stories are 17, 18 feet tall. So it won't be the tallest buildings on campus by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm estimating now that it's probably around 40 feet if you add up the 12 feet plus some structure, 9 feet structure, 9 feet structure, and then a pitched roof. It won't have a flat roof. So the eave will probably be more around 30, 33 feet, and then it'll pitch up to probably a ridge that's up around 40.
And it is sprinkled?
Yes, sir, be sprinklered. And we also have fire hydrant lines that are required by the state fire marshal, fire lanes that are required by the state fire marshal, so that they can show up with fire trucks and put out fires. Yeah.
Thank you.
Basically, I mean, to kind of reiterate some of the items that Aaron touched on, the original master plan was approved back in 2000, and since that time, the project has been phased and basically stayed in line with what the original intent and scope was for the master plan, with just some slight revisions. The boarding component, the only change, no student additions. The boarding component would allow 96 of those students to stay overnight. As Aaron touched on, we're not changing any of the access points or anything, so realistically even the traffic counts could actually reduce trips because you've got potentially 96 students who would be staying on the campus overnight. The landscape buffer, because this has been a long ongoing project, is already in place. Any landscaping that we do would be completely internal to the site, so we don't even have any landscape requirements associated with the project, and there's no signage proposed because all of that is also in place. The only other item I guess that we would like to touch on is that, as noted on the master plan submitted for consent, we're seeking a formal approval for a Curry Ingram preschool program that's been in operation on the site for the last 10 years. And so I'm happy to answer any additional questions you have. If I can't answer them, I'm happy to drag somebody up here who can.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else have a question? Comment?
Recommendation.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Prepare to vote. Vote now. Record it. Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item 17, preliminary plat review for Lookaway Farms Phase 2 containing 37 lots on 34.64 acres located off Clovercroft Road in the 5th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A concept plan for this development was approved at the August 2015 meeting. The applicant is now requesting preliminary plat approval for the second phase of the development, which consists of 37 lots and 12 acres of open space. The preliminary plat is consistent in layout with that depicted on the concept plan. At their July 2015 meeting, the County Highway Commission approved the design plans for the off-site roadway improvements, including the turn lane improvements at the site entrances. As was mentioned at the concept plan stage, the applicant is requesting a right-of-way width of 40 feet in order to accommodate sidewalks outside the right-of-way. Staff is in support of this request. Staff recommends approval of this preliminary plat. In conjunction with final plat consideration, the following items must be addressed. Prior to submittal of the final plat, off-site improvements, including turn lane improvements to Clovercroft Road as specified in the Traffic Impact Analysis Review Letter from the county's traffic engineering consultant, must be completed in accordance with the approved plans. Prior to final plat submittal, a zoning certificate must be obtained for the completed wastewater treatment and disposal system. Prior to issue of the zoning certificate, the applicant shall provide the following: a letter from TDEC indicating that the non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system was installed and is functioning, as-built drawings showing the location of all system components, and a sealed certification letter from the design engineer indicating that the non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system was constructed in accordance with and approved concept plans and specifications, a letter from the owner utility provider indicating that it has accepted the non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system and is currently operating same, the posting of a performance bond in the amount of $142,500 for the non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system as specified by the county's wastewater consultant, and the posting of a performance bond in the amount of $18,920 for landscaping improvements associated with the non-traditional wastewater treatment and disposal system. Prior to consideration of final plat approval, the applicant shall provide HOA documents for review and approval by the county attorney's office. The approved HOA documents must be recorded prior to the recording of the final plat. Establishment of a performance bond for roads, drainage, and erosion control. Establishment of a performance bond for water improvements in favor of Millcrofton Utility District. Establishment of a performance bond for the wastewater collection system. Submission of landscaping plans and establishment of a performance bond for landscaping. Dedication of right-of-way 36 feet off the center line of Clovercroft Road. Execution of a stormwater maintenance agreement and submission of an operation and maintenance plan for stormwater improvements, and submission of the approved final plat in DWG format on recordable media based on the Tennessee State Plane Coordinate System prior to signature and recording of the plat.
Thank you, ma'am. Questions of staff? Comments?
This is in this area, so I'll ask this question. It's not pertaining to this subdivision. Have we heard anything, or is anything going on Wilson Pike as far as the overpass with the state, that single lane that this dumps out to?
The tunnel?
Yeah.
Not that I'm aware of, and I kind of track that. I travel that part of the country a lot.
As far as when the signals are going up, or yeah, at Clovercroft and also on Wilson Pike at the two tunnels for the
right.
Yes, the state is in the process of putting out bids for signalization at both of those underpasses. I'm not sure of the exact time frame, but both of those underpasses will have signals in place on each side to allow traffic to flow instead of blowing your horn and that kind of thing.
Tell me how that's going to work.
Green means go.
Green and red.
We already got that. First one there is green.
That is something that the state initiated. And
what's the timing on that, William?
It is supposed to go out for bids, I believe, here in the next few months, but I'm not 100% sure, but Joe may have a little more. He
I've been
says he
asking
doesn't.
that and hadn't heard that. That's why I was curious.
Yes, but that is the plan for those tunnels.
Thank you. Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? Prepare to vote. Vote now. What was that? 7? Yeah, here. Recorded. Motion carries. Peter voted no on everything. Final plat review for Sloan Farm Large Lot Easement Subdivision Reapproval containing 5 lots on 38.84 acres located off of Carl Road in the 9th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This body approved this project at the November 2018 meeting. However, the applicant failed to post the water bond by the deadline and approval of the plat expired. The applicant is now requesting a reapproval of the plat. The site contains a number of natural resources, including steep slopes, ridgetops, and woodlands. Approximately 72% of the site is covered in tree canopy. All zoning ordinance requirements, including those regarding the protection of natural resources, have been met. The applicant is proposing individual septic systems for the lots, and the Williamson County Department of Sewage Disposal Management has approved the request. Water will be provided by the HB and TS utility district. As no fire hydrants are proposed, and as none are currently located within 500 feet of the building envelopes, the building envelopes have been separated by 200 feet. The plat is in order, and staff recommends approval subject to the following: establishment of a performance bond for water improvements in favor of HB and TS Utility District in the amount of $127,000. Number 2, a land disturbance permit must be obtained for the overall development. Number 3, driveway and drainage infrastructure must be complete prior to issuance of building permits. And number 4, as-built certification shall be submitted from the geotechnical engineer prior to issuance of building permits.
Thank you, sir. Motion on the reapproval. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Prepare to vote. Vote now. Record it. Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item 18. Whoa. Didn't check that off. Other business, establishment of a landscape bond for Devon Street, removal of protected tree canopy located off Tullis Road in the 5th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A final plat for Section 2 of this development was approved at the November 2018 meeting. In conjunction with that approval, a natural resource protection plan was submitted to demonstrate compliance with Article 13 of the zoning ordinance, which included showing various areas of woodlands that were to remain undisturbed. However, during construction of the subdivision, a portion of the protected woodlands was removed. Pursuant to Section 13.07C2F of the zoning ordinance, the disturbed area must be replanted. A landscaping plan demonstrating compliance with the reference section has been submitted and approved, and pursuant to Section 16.07 of the zoning ordinance, a performance bond for landscaping improvements for the removal of the protected tree canopy must be established by the Planning Commission. Staff recommends the establishment of a performance bond for landscaping improvements for the reestablishment of the protected tree canopy in the amount of $17,200.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Prepare to vote. Vote now. Record it. Motion carries. Thank you. That was agenda last. There's a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned. Thank you.